Welcome everyone to this week's Long Island Legal. My name is Joe Campolo. I'm the managing partner at Campolo, Middleton, and McCormick. And this week we are able to bring you again one of Long Island's best kept secrets, Alex Badalmenti. Alex is a managing partner of Baldassano Architecture. And he happens to be one of the most talented architects that's out here on Long Island. So Alex, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Joe.
Full disclosure, Alex is a friend and a client and we work together, but he really is incredibly talented. So Alex, you came out of the city. Is that where your background as an architect was?
Yeah, I went to college in Pennsylvania and then spent almost 20 years in Manhattan working for a very large firm, Swanky Hayden Connell. We did high-rise buildings, large, very big projects, and I spent some time in London. I lived in London for about 6 months when Canary Wharf and all those projects were really booming in the early 90s.
That's great. And so when did you move your practice out here to Long Island?
Well, it was a quality of life decision. When my son was born in '98, we were living in Brooklyn at the time. And my wife and I are both from Long Island. We were born and raised in the Three Village area. So we decided to move back in 2000. I did the commute to the city for about 4 years, which was pretty intense and awful, and decided to move out here. And I joined Charlie Baldassano, who was the founder of the firm, in 2004. I became the managing partner in 2006. Charlie passed away in 2009, and then myself and our CFO basically managed the practice today.
It's great. So talk about some of the projects you guys have going on, have done. I mean, you did a big project out in Sag Harbor, right?
Yeah. Right now, we're thankfully busy. 2009 was rough. There was about 3 or 4 years that were tough, but we had enough momentum. But right now in Sag Harbor, we are the architects of record for the Bull of a Watch Case project, which is a 65-unit, high-end residential development. It's a rehab of an existing 1850s building, and it's really fascinating. If anyone has a chance to get out there, we're almost done, hopefully a few more months, and the units are selling. It's really spectacular.
Where is it in Sag Harbor? I was actually just out there yesterday. Where is it in Sag Harbor?
It's right behind Town Hall on Division Avenue in Washington, Sage. It's about an 8-acre block. So we built new Victorians, an underground parking garage, and then we renovated the old factory building. And we just won in June. We won a Vision Long Island Award for the project, Design Award, which was really special.
Yeah, it's fantastic. How are the units selling out there?
Pretty well. I think they've pre-sold probably a third of the units, and they're not inexpensive. They range between $1 and $10 million a unit, and there's 65 units. So wow. It's very unique for Long Island. It's sort of a new paradigm of living. It's much more urban type model, but set up for a suburban market.
Now, these Long Island residents buying them, or are these? I know out in the Hamptons now in that area, there's a lot of European people who are buying units that want to be out in the Hamptons. What does that look like?
It's a lot of city people who come out to the island. Sag Harbor is a deep water port, so it's very convenient, and the village is really spectacular. There's a couple private residents who've decided to give up their homes and live, house free and property free. So that's pretty much the demographic.
Yeah, that's great. So what other projects are you working on? What else you got cooking?
We have a couple big buildings. We are working on Suncap Development down in North Carolina hired us a few years ago to do all the FedEx projects on the Northeast. So we just finished in Long Island City a 200,000 square foot automated facility, which was about a $50 million building. We're doing another one right now in Brooklyn, which is also about 200,000 square feet. We're looking at one up in Elmsford, New York, and one in Yonkers, New York. So those are on the horizon. We're doing some hotels right now. We're looking actually at one in Ohio right now, where a local client bought some land, so we're looking at that. We have a lot of multifamily going on right now. Mike Kelly Development, as you know, he purchased some land in Selden, which we're doing 125 units there, and then we have another project in Farmingville, which is the old Bissett Farm, which is 65 acres. We're looking at a mixed-use 285 unit development. for there too.
There's a lot of residences going up on there. So how does the traffic on Long Island impact your guys' work? Right, has to be getting more and more pressure from communities at this point.
Yeah, there's Long Island's I think fairly unique because there's a lot of towns and villages. I think there's 132, and we work in almost all of them. And there's pushback. Everybody is concerned about traffic. Everyone's concerned about noise. Density is really the issue of the day, how much density you can fit in a community. So there's traffic mitigation. I mean, there's always been traffic on Long Island since the 40s. It's never been good.
Right.
So it's really not something we can solve other than our goal is to manage Long Island's growth,
right,
as best we can.
It's staggering. I was just up in New Hampshire last week, and I think in the entire state there's 1.1 million people in the whole state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And on Long Island now it's just about 9 million folks in Nassau and Suffolk County. So the growth is staggering.
Very staggering. And Suffolk County, I think, has the largest growth. I think there's been a big migration of people from Nassau and the city out to the East End, and yeah, I'm one of those. Moving back to Long Island was fantastic. And
yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we're opening a Bridgehampton office, and Alex and his team were the folks who helped us design that office. By the way, I was out there yesterday, and the contractor's doing an excellent job. It looks, everything fits, everything's where it's supposed to be, so thank you very much for,
you're very welcome.
For that. What about talent, though? So I hear a lot of grumblings out there that talent is drying up in a lot of major industries. How's talent for you guys? How are you guys going to grow?
It's that's probably one of the challenges is finding good people, and we made because of the recession, we can't seduce people to come out to work for us. We need people who want to be out on Long Island. So what we're finding is a slightly older demographic of people. In the city, you have a lot of young talent. It's everywhere. Out here, you find people with kids, families that have decided they're tired of the city and they really want to settle down and find a nice place to work, and we try to create a very nice working environment. The key is keeping everybody enlightened to what's really going on, because Long Island is extremely insular. So we try very hard to keep everybody through professional development of seeing what's happening in other towns, villages, parts of the country, and the world.
So what is the training for an architect? Like, are there specific schools? Will you major in it? Are there schools here on Long Island that focus on it? How are you breeding younger talent? How does that whole thing work?
It's an intense program. It's a 5-year degree. It has a high level of attrition. If, for instance, I went to school at Penn State, and our freshman year was, I think, 350 students. Our thesis year, which is your 5th year, I think we had 20 students.
Wow.
So the attrition is very hard because people go in it for the wrong reasons, and you really need to love it. I'm sure it's similar to law. You really need to love what you do. So there are a number of schools. They have to be accredited with a 5-year professional degree. There's a number of them on Long Island and in the city. Columbia, obviously in the city, is one of the most noted. New York Tech is one on Long Island, in Westbury. After your 5-year degree, you have to do 3 years of internship working under a licensed architect, and after your 3 years of internship, you then can take the exam, which is a 9-part exam. It's changed over the years. When I took it, it was a 4-day exam, the last day being 12-hour straight, which was the design section.
Right.
Once you pass the exam, you're licensed by the state of New York, and then you can get reciprocity in other states.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never knew. Like, so I hear a lot of times, engineers are in short demand.
Yeah.
But I would think on Long Island, particularly since, as you go into these neighborhoods, and like I said, I was out in Sag Harbor yesterday, and right on the water, there's massive houses being redone, right?
Yeah.
So it seems to me like a lot of areas, particularly in Suffolk County, that are on the water. So you got Shirley, you got Mastic, there's a lot of low-end housing. People are going to start buying that for waterfront property and redesigning all of those homes into upper-end homes. So it seems like we need to start attracting more engineers, more architects, and more folks like that out here to the island.
Yeah. As we get more dense, the quality of design has to get better. Long Island was always sort of the developer wasteland, from the 1900s to the 1940s. There wasn't a lot of thought put into planning. you'll see now there's very detailed, comprehensive plans for Long Island for each of the towns and villages, again, to manage that growth so that it's done well. And I think the art of design, which is not engineering, takes a lot of components into it. It's a spatial kind of development. It's a material development. And you can have a very good design that's successful, or you can have a very bad one that really is an eyesore.
Yeah, and these are like not the sexy topics that people like to talk about, right? Let's talk about one of the least sexy topics, and that's sewage, right? People on Long Island don't realize the crisis we have with sewage capacity and how it impacts you guys. Talk about that a little bit.
It's tremendous. The land use is extremely important on Long Island. You have a lot of different coexisting uses. The building code sets your volume, your bulk, by different parameters: setback, size, floor area ratio. There's a number of factors that set the amount.
And that's the footprint of the structure.
Correct. So when you buy a piece of land, depending on what use category it's in, whether it's residential or commercial, the value of that land is how much you can build on that land.
Correct.
So those factors all tie in. On top of that, there's a separate layer that most places don't experience, and that's the county health department. The sanitary, because the effluent goes back into the land, you can only densify so much land with effluent. So that's a whole nother factor that limits the amount of area that you can build. The sewers, because they're so expensive to do a central sewer system, the beauty of it is once sewers are installed, you take away that part of the equation, then your land value goes up, tremendously. And it's a very good thing. So we're always looking for properties in sewer districts or neighboring sewer districts because it's an easier calculation.
Right, and a lot of people out there just don't understand the complications that go into developing a property. They buy a property thinking they can do what they want on it and don't realize, and even if the code allows you to do what you want to do on there, if you can't get the sanitary hookup that you need, you're stymied. There's nothing you can do.
Pretty much. And again, it comes down to health. The quality of the water, because it comes from our natural aquifer, is very well protected, as it's protected from fertilizers and all those other things. So building takes up a carbon footprint that's important. So with sewers, again, I think it's a healthier thing, but it's a huge investment. And Long Island doesn't have a good track record with financing major sewer projects.
Right. And folks, that's why I wanted you to meet Alex today on our show. I mean, Alex is not just an architect that's going to draw you great plans. He will. But part of being able to do and grow your business here on Long Island is the ability to deal with the towns, deal with the county, deal with the state, get everything necessarily done to develop your property and maximize value. So real quick, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to get in touch with you.
Sure, you can absolutely call me. Our office is in Patchogue. We moved about 4 years ago right on West Main Street, so it's 31 West Main Street. You can visit our website, which is www.baldassano.com. You can call me anytime, my cell, 631-742-9061. Or our office, which you can find on the directory as well.
Right, and anytime we have an architect to refer out, Alex is our guy, so you can always contact our office as well, should you need to get in touch with him. Hey, thanks for being here today, Alex. It was really informative. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good luck with the program. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks.